Hello YouTube, this is Goddard Radio Mosky here again with another beer review for you today. Now for this one I'm going to do another Scottish beer for you, and this is a brewery that I haven't reviewed anything from, and I've never actually tried anything from this brewery, but it comes highly recommended from a lot of my friends. So today we're going to look at the Fyne Brewery and take a look at their Holidays beer, which is their Christmas seasonal beer, as you may have guessed by the name. But this brewery is quite unique. It's actually part of one of the estates over in the west coast of the country, so it is quite an interesting history behind this one, and as usual I'll just take you through a little bit of a history of the brewery just now, and for the benefit of those of you watching outside of the country as well, I'll just tell you a little bit about the local area where this brewery's from. But as I always say, if you are simply just interested in the tasting of this beer, then feel free to go towards the last part of the video and you will catch that particular segment. But anyway, the brewery is located on the Argyll estate near Cairndow at the very top of the Mull of Kintyre, and it's about 9 miles away from the little town of Inverary. There's a really nice castle in this town and a good chippy as well, and as I always have said in my Scottish beer reviews, the north of the country and the west of the country are the most beautiful parts. So if you're visiting from outside of Scotland, definitely take a look at the west coast and the northern parts of the country. But just so those of you watching outside of Scotland know exactly where we're talking about here, I always describe the country as looking a bit like a monster's head. So just at the back of the monster's neck you have the city of Glasgow, and if you go further up a little bit there's one little peninsula that sticks out just a little bit, and if you go up beyond this there's a really long one that comes out and then down towards the Ayrshire coast there, and that's the Mull of Kintyre. And this brewery is pretty much located just at the very top of that peninsula, if you like, just where the water sort of goes from being really wide like this to a sort of very narrow river, and the brewery is just in there. I'm not sure exactly where the border between Kintyre and Argyll is, but the brewery says it's from Argyll, of course, so we'll go with that for this anyway. But as I mentioned, this brewery is quite interesting because it's part of an estate that's been in the hands of the same family for over 100 years, and different parts of the family actually have a hand in different things on the estate. They raise cattle and sheep on their land, and you can actually buy the meat from these in the brewery shop, but you can also get venison meat there as well, and this is because they have to cull part of the local red deer population so that the land remains sustainable. Deer are quite known to just sort of strip the land and things, if you like, so that it has to be a sustainable population, of course, there. But the river next to the brewery as well is also known for its salmon, and the estate actually has its own hatchery as well. And another part of the family, not the one involved in the running of the brewery of course, they actually have an oyster business as well, and you can rent out the holiday cottage that they have on the estate and actually go there and stay, and this is within walking distance of this oyster business and of the brewery itself, so a really cool place to actually go and visit if you're interested in that. Of course, you can read more about this in the brewery website there, and I've put the link for that in the video description for you, as I always do. But to move on to the history of the brewery itself. Now, Fyne was founded by Johnny and Tuggy Delap, who put the concept together for it in the year 2000, and they basically wanted to bring quality beer to a part of the country where it was severely lacking. And in 2001 they installed their brewery, and they had the first brew on St Andrew's Day of that year, which is the 30th of November if you don't know. But the first beer they produced here was the Highlander, which remains in the core range to this day. But that year they also introduced Kenny Mackay as their head brewer, and they established an initial core range composed of Highlander, Maverick and Piper's Gold. And in 2002 they also added the Vital Spark beer to this core range. Now in 2003 Fyne attended their first beer festivals, and the Highlander and Maverick beers actually won gold medals at the SIBA Scotland competitions, and this enhanced the brewery's already growing reputation. Now 2006 saw the recruitment of a new head brewer, Will Wood, who came from Oakham Ales in England, and the following year in 2007 he introduced the Avalanche beer, which he describes as his ideal session pub beer. Now 2007 actually saw the Piper's Gold win a bronze medal at the Champion Beer of Britain competition, so as you can see this brewery is actually a highly decorated one, and you can actually go and read more about these awards in the brewery website as well, but it's a very decorated brewery anyway. Sadly though, in 2009 Johnny Delap died, one of the founders of the brewery, and the running of the brewery was taken over by his son Jamie, who remains as the managing director of the company today though. This year though they actually celebrated their 1000th brew, and they produced a beer called 1000, and this proved to be a great hit with the fans, and they repeated this as a seasonal beer called Hurricane Jack, but it's now actually a member of their regular range as well. And 2010 saw the first Fyne Fest, where the brewery hosted a beer, food and music festival in the brewery courtyard, and they also celebrated the expansion from 40 to 60 barrels per week as well. But Fyne Fest was actually marked with the launch of the Yarrow beer, initially as a season beer, but this went on to actually win the SIBA Champion Cask Beer Award in 2011, and then the SIBA Champion Bottle Beer in 2012. I actually have one of these beers, and that was going to be my first Fyne Ales beer review for you. I really picked that one just because my gran and grandpa's dog was called Yarrow, and I thought it was quite cool to do that, but I've heard that this is a very good one, so I'll try and review that for you in the next couple of weeks. But the success of the first Fyne Fest prompted them to repeat it, and it's grown steadily each year, and they've actually just been granted planning permission to build a new brewery, so there'll be many new and exciting developments to come from Fyne Ales in the near future, of course. And as I mentioned, the brewery website is in the video description there, so go and have a look at that if you are interested. But they've got a newer head brewer as well, and he's another graduate of the famous Heriot-Watt University Brewing Programme in Edinburgh, and he's a bit of a metalhead just like me apparently. But this programme in Heriot-Watt, as you can see, is producing a number of good brewers, and as I say, this brewery has won many awards, so he must be a very good brewer, of course. But just to tell you a little bit about the other beers that they offer from the brewery, they've actually got quite an extensive range. These guys are actually one of the more prolific breweries in Scotland, in my opinion. But in their classic range, they have Yarrow, which is a golden ale, Hurricane Jack, which is another golden ale, Avalanche, which is another golden ale, Highlander, which is a bitter, Maverick, which is also a bitter, Piper's Gold, which is a golden ale, and Vital Spark, which is described as a mild ale. They also have their 4 seasonal beers here, which includes this one, the Holidays, which is the Christmas beer. They have the Wee Stoter, which is a winter seasonal. This is an oatmeal stout, this one. They have Rune, which is a summer session ale, and Life of Riley, which is, I believe, is their spring seasonal, and this is a rye ale. They also have 2 bottled IPAs, one which is the Sanda Black IPA, the other one being the Sanda Blonde. The blonde one is meant to be absolutely beautiful. I'll need to do that for you at some point. And they also have the Brewer's Specials as well, and these come in bigger bottles, and this is the Superior IPA and the Sublime Stout, and they also have a thing called the IPA Project, and this just experiments with IPAs using different malt and hop mixes, and this includes Flada Rock, Muckle Flaga, Bell Rock and Hop, Flada Rock and Roll. So there's 5 of them in that range as well, but there's also a number of historic beers and one-off collaborations, but as I say, you can find those in the brewery website there. There's a lot of them. There's too many to list actually just in a short beer review. But let's get on to the tasting of this guy itself. I'll just bring up the camera and let you have a little look at the bottle art and things on this. This is quite typical bottle art, of course, from the Fyne Ales in Scotland, and as you can see there, you can see Johnny Delap's signature, of course, the founder of the brewery there, and it says on the front, "We only use the best quality malt, hops from around the world, and pure water from the Highland Hills to make our Fyne Ales. We very much hope that you will enjoy them." As you can see, this one is described as a dark amber ale, and this one says on the back as well, "Brewed at the head of Loch Fyne, where the brewery was set up in 2001, Fyne Ales is a family business making quality beers." So this one should be quite interesting to try. I've got the malt profiles and hop profile for you here. This is a 5% amber ale. It's hopped with Challengers, Pearl and Spalt hops, and it uses Pearl and Crystal malts, and also roast barley and wheat as well. So this one should be quite an interesting beer for us to try today. But let's get this guy open and get on with the tasting here. Quite looking forward to this one, as I say. There we are, pop that open, just a little bit of smoke on the opening there. But let's get this guy poured and see how we get on. It's actually got quite a nice smell to it as I'm pouring it out here, and as you can see, it's a really nice sort of dark kind of coppery colour so far, but we'll bring it up to the light and have a better look at it. I'll just sugar up the last little bit, try and get a bit more of a head on this one here. Very thin head, kind of beigey coloured actually, kind of off-white if you like. I'll bring the light over so you can see the colour of this a little bit better. Just bring up the camera and make sure you're seeing that. But as you can see here probably, it's actually a very kind of dark ruby colour here, a really beautiful red colour, just a sort of nice white, off-white foamy head there, and that's starting to fade already, very very thin. Maybe that's just my pour actually not being so good there, but there's some carbonation visible, a mix of small and big bubbles going up there, so this one should be quite a smooth beer I would think. I forgot to show you the bottle cap there as well. This is the Fyne Ales bottle cap, and they have this on all of their beers, of course. It's a standard bottle cap, doesn't change for their different ones. But let's have a look at the aroma of this guy as well. But yeah, this is a big malty aroma in here, sort of caramel and wood aromas coming first, and there's a good bit of roast character in there, as you would expect with roast barley being used in the malts, of course, there. But yeah, sort of caramel and wood aroma in there, a good bit of bready character, and you're getting some nice dark fruits too, and I think there is just a little bit of spice character in there. But yeah, a nice sort of woody and caramel smell there. But let's give this guy a taste and see how we get on. As you can see, the head's sort of almost completely faded there. Yeah, this is a very smooth beer actually, very smooth. Yeah, this has got a good bit of roasted brown sugar character in here. a nice sort of roasted caramel flavour if you like. There's a nice bit of dark fruit sweetness actually in the aftertaste that you'll get just when you're kind of on your first couple of sips with this one. It's a really nice sort of sweet element at the back of the beer with this one. But yeah, opening up with a nice little bit of roasted brown sugar flavour, and the red fruits are coming out quite well. You can actually pick up a good bit of the spice character as well. It is quite a little bit of a spicy beer, but you're getting the sort of bready malts in the middle of this as well. It is a very bready beer in the middle. It has that bready character in the middle where the malts has a nice woody element to it as well. There's a nice mix of kind of woody spice, maybe even a little hint of vanilla in there. I'm not sure if the spice is kind of cinnamony or if it's peppery, but it's a really nice beer. And as they said in this one when I was reading about it, they just wanted to create a nice amber ale. They didn't want to do anything sort of really Christmassy or anything like that. They just wanted a nice sort of amber ale for a Christmas beer. But yeah, definitely the flavours open up with a nice bit of roasted brown sugar in here, sort of nice caramel and toffee malts with a bit of roasted character to them, and the fruits are coming out nicely at the back of the beer as well. They're actually lingering throughout the aftertaste, and as I say, you can pick up some of that spice character, but there's a good bit of bready malt in here, maybe just a little hint of citrus, but it is actually a very well balanced flavour. I can see why people have been sort of egging me on to review these beers, if you like. It certainly doesn't disappoint. In terms of the mouthfeel, I would describe this one as light to mid-bodied, but it might actually be quite deceptive in that way because it is a very, very smooth beer. The carbonation is very soft and makes the beer very smooth, so it might just be a little bit heavier than it would like to have you think, if you like. And it's actually slightly dry on the finish as well, but it's got a really nice sort of light to mid-bodied, soft carbonation, smooth feel. Maybe even slightly oily actually, and I really like that sort of little oily mouthfeel that you get with some beers, but this is another good one, I have to say. But yeah, definitely light to mid-bodied beer, very soft carbonation that makes it quite smooth, actually maybe deceptively smooth enough to make it to make you think it's a little bit lighter than it actually is, but it has a nice oily mouthfeel and it's just slightly dry on the finish. It's actually a very easy drinking beer, this one, and I can see if you serve it just a little bit above chilled, if you like, you'll get the nice malty bready flavours coming out there. I hope you've enjoyed this beer review. I've enjoyed doing my first one from the Fyne Ales one, and as I say, this was my first beer review from Fyne Ales, of course, so there will be more to follow in the near future. I can see why people have been sort of trying to push me to do these beer reviews for Fyne Ales, and I actually would have liked to have done it sooner, so I'll be reviewing the Yarrow beer for you in the next couple of weeks, hopefully. But I hope you found this beer review informative. Please let me know in the comment section your own thoughts on this beer if you've tried it. And this is another really good Scottish brewery, and a very prolific one in fact, so you've got a good choice of beers for this one, and I'll definitely be reviewing more of these for you. But thanks again for watching my beer reviews. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know in the comment section your own thoughts, and I'll catch you soon with another beer review. Cheers.